As a nation, we throw away a lot of food. The 2 million people in the UK are facing malnutrition, whilst the rest of us seem so accustomed to throwing away food. This is Hungry Greedy Britain. How is it possible to have people living in food poverty in our country and at the same time having the issue of food waste? According to Love Food Hate Waste, about 7 billion tonnes of food are thrown away from our households every year. That is the equivalent to about 7 billion bags of sugar and 63 billion apples. This is crazy considering we have an estimated value of 500,000 people who are surviving on food parcels. I want to find out more about these two completely different lifestyles to try and change attitudes across the country. Invited to Wimborne Baptist Church by Reverend Robert Jones, and he's brought me along to take a look at the food bank he organises here. So I thought it'd be worth a try to come take a look to show you guys the effect that food banks have on people who are living in food poverty. I asked him how we as a country managed to get into a position of food poverty.
People in their ordinary lives run into all sorts of problems. They might have an accident, they might be disabled, they might be long-term sick, they might have lost their job, they might have serious debts. For whatever reason, they can't afford to buy food. And so the food bank exists to help people who are in short-term food crisis. And then that person comes to us and we give them a food parcel for about 3 days.
I was keen to ask Robert what he attributed as the main cause of food poverty.
The rise in food poverty, I think, has been linked to changes in our welfare system. That we used to have a welfare system that was an effective safety net. Some people said that was a disincentive to people working. We've now got a welfare system which is not an effective safety net. So that's one part of the problem. Instability of employment. People are in short-term employment, they're on short-term contracts, they're on 0 hours contracts, they don't necessarily have a guaranteed regular income, and those things combine to create a problem.
I took to the streets to ask the public how much food they throw away and how resourceful they were at making sure they use every last bit of their food shop.
I don't think I throw away very much because I tend to buy bulk and then cook in bulk and then freeze.
Very little. Goes in the compost.
So normally after every meal we cook, we all stick it in freezer bags, stick it in the freezer and keep it going for the rest of the week.
Like in the house there would be quite a lot of waste if it's like something's gone off a bit.
I probably throw away like one whole vegetable because I've not used it in time.
Maybe sort of half of my dinner sometimes is thrown away.
The public seemed quite confident that they weren't wasting food, but statistics from food bank charity The Trussell Trust show that 50% of food waste comes from our homes. I caught up with self-confessed food waster 21-year-old Darren from Harrow to understand what causes him to waste so much. Right, already I see you've obviously got a lot of food here. I mean, come on, look at this. We've got cheese here, which expired on the 1st of December, and as you can see, it's going mouldy. Whilst talking to Darren and rummaging through his fridge, I was seriously shocked to see how much food we had collected that had just simply expired because he had forgotten about them. How do you feel knowing that this food possibly could have helped someone?
I feel guilty and ashamed of myself because I think I saw a statistic in the papers a few months back saying that there are 1 million people in this country who rely on food banks, and there I am with food such as this, perfectly fine. I'm just neglecting it and letting it go off. It's not just a waste of money, but it's also like a waste because there are people out there who really, really need this stuff.
After going through Darren's fridge, it was clear to see that wasting food was a problem that was part of his daily lifestyle as a consumer. It was nearly as if it was second nature to him, and that is what concerned me the most. However, the issue of food waste is so much more than existing merely on a consumer level. I visited Matt Wilkinson from FareShare, an organisation who redistribute food that is destined for waste for people in food poverty.
They estimate that about 3.9 million tonnes of food is wasted by the food and drink industry every year, and this is all food which could be consumed. There's lots of reasons why there's surplus food. It could be overproduction. For example, this year we've had a bumper crop of apples, so there's more apples than the consumer actually needs. Spelling mistakes on packaging, overproduction, food that's coming close to the end of its shelf life, and human error.
Some of the reasons for why distributors were throwing away food was shocking to me. They usually oversupply supermarkets to avoid fines and meet quotas, which inevitably ends up in food getting thrown away into landfills. If you were to tell the average consumer a way that they could reduce their waste too, what would you tell them?
It's all about meal planning. Always look in your fridge, check your dates and make meals. You know, you can go online now and tap in the ingredients that you've got in your fridge and cupboard, and then you can come up with some really great creative meals. It's about us being mindful about what we eat and, you know, checking dates and being a little bit more careful with our planning instead of thinking, oh no, I don't fancy this. It's eating what we've actually got.
And I know you mentioned that obviously in FareShare you redistribute food. How exactly does the redistributed food help people in our communities?
Well, you know, for a lot of people, there is concern about heating or eating, particularly during the winter months. So, you know, FareShare food is helping people who may not be able to afford nutritious food. Fruit and vegetables, for example, fresh meat, it's all very expensive. So if you're on the low income, you may tend to eat cheaper, more manufactured, processed foods, where we can offer a real abundance of fresh fruit and vegetable, as well as staples, such as what you see around in our depot here today.
After visiting FareShare, one thing was clear to me. We do have a massive waste problem in the United Kingdom. I was startled to see the amount of waste that was simply going to be thrown into landfills, but were luckily saved by organisations such as FareShare. We have a problem in the United Kingdom in terms of food waste and food poverty that needs to be addressed. We can be that change. We can put pressure on those who have the power to do so. We can bring an end to waste.